Hey there, Brody here with Let's Table It. I have a brand new copy of Courtisans. It's a Take That set collection game where the queen is holding a banquet and everyone is coming. You will need to leave a good impression for everyone, especially the queen. But not only that, you will need to do, some dirty tricks to make others look bad. Backstabbing is all the rage in this game. You will play the game by having a hand of 3 cards at a time and placing one at the queen's table, one in front of you, and one in front of another player. Cards could end up being good or bad, but this depends on the queen's table, as influence can make some cards -1 point each, while others +1 point each. Everyone is manipulating the queen's table as the game goes on, and the points will be assigned after all cards are placed. This mat represents the queen's table, and on everyone's turn, they will need to place a card here. Cards are almost always placed face up, but some have abilities where they are placed face down. When placing at the queen's table, you will place a card above the matching color of your card if you want these cards to be esteemed, or place the card below the represented color if you want the cards to be fallen from grace. At the end of the game, you will know which cards will score negative points versus positive points by checking if there are more cards above or below on these areas. If more cards are above, then cards of this color are positive, 1 point each. If there are more cards below, then each of these cards are worth -1 point each. Now on your turn, you will have a card to place in front of you and also a card in front of another player. And you want to try to get cards that at the end of the game are worth points and give cards that are worth negative points to the other players. But you don't know what the queen's table will look like until the end of the game. So you are trying to place out cards in the queen's table to help with other cards that you have placed already. But things can always change from other players placing cards at the queen's table, or by cards they might be giving you. As you might see, you have more of a different color, and you want those cards now to be worth positive points instead of negative points, and so you need to swing it your way. There are also some cards with special roles that do a little bit more than just count as points. There are 4 nobles per color, and at the end of the game, they each count as 2 cards for wherever they're at. And this can help with influence at the queen's table or give you points if in front of you. But sadly, you don't want these to be fallen from grace, because then they'll be worth negative points if they're in front of you. This is the spy card. There are 2 per family. These cards are placed face down, and when placed at the queen's table, you'll place it above or below the queen herself. Or in front of you or someone else, it is also face down, so no one knows what family you are collecting. This is the assassin. There are 2 per family, and when placing this card in an area, you can discard or eliminate another card in that area. This can be done wherever you place it, and you can even use this card to eliminate a spy, or any other card regardless of its placement. In addition to the special role cards, each player will also be dealt out 2 secret mission cards, and you will try to do what the card says to score an additional 3 points at the end of the game. This might be getting a specific family to the esteemed status, or maybe, make them fallen from grace status. This will help you with a goal when starting the game, some direction there. This is the guard. There are 3 per family. These cards can never be eliminated by assassins, and once they are played, they can never be moved or removed. So on your turn, you'll place all 3 cards and then take 3 cards from the top of the deck. The next player goes, and so on. The game potentially changes as you play, but also after all cards have been assigned and there are no more cards in the deck, then the game is over. You will then count up the number of cards at the queen's table to figure out the status of each of the families. If the family or color is esteemed or fallen from grace or neutral. Remember, nobles count as 2 cards each. You will then count up your own personal cards, gaining 1 point for each card that is esteemed and losing 1 point for each card that has fallen from grace. And neutral cards have no effect. You will then add up those points and the points that you might score from completing your mission cards, and the player with the most cards wins the game. This is a great quick game for trying to manipulate the queen's table to suit your hand of cards, knowing you will want to have cards that are good and giving away cards that are bad. So you will want to, sway different families, statuses, different ways, depending on, where you think you want those cards. With everyone doing the same thing, nothing is guaranteed. But that's why the game is so fun, because that added competition makes it so that you will need to possibly change your ways of how you play your cards. Maybe you don't want a card at the beginning that you want at the end. Some players might focus on also getting a specific family and focusing on making that family, esteemed, but that just means that they need to place cards of that color both in their hand, but also at the queen's table to get what they want, push them where they want. So in reality, in the game, you will be just, focusing on every color, and you just need to be flexible in changing the status of each family. The roles also add in some better changes to the game. Everyone wants to get one of those cards, to use to lean towards your strategy a little bit more than just the normal cards do. And then on top of that, everyone has a secret mission. And if you are fighting, a player trying to change a status that they don't want changed, it can cost you a lot of cards and turns to place cards to just, another player to undo what you just did the other way. So there is just a lot of back and forth. Sometimes everyone might agree on a family to be esteemed or fallen from grace and make that easy, but sometimes you're fighting both ways. Now, the game is produced very well, and the cards look pretty amazing. They have a foil look to them, which just makes them look so much better than the normal cards. The art is not so much detail. It's just, enough for your eyes to want and see it. The queen's table mat is cloth, which is okay. I think most people, we would want a neoprene mat, but I think this would, drive up the cost of the game. That doesn't really need to be that way, and also wouldn't, fit in the box well. And really, the mat just isn't really even needed in the game. You can place out cards to the queen's table without the mat. But it does help with, the look of the game and helping with the theme. Ultimately, this is a fun game of placing out cards in different locations to backstab or to press your preferred family status forward and to get what you want. Again, this is Brody with Let's Table It, where we get games to the table. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We are new and working hard to bring to you videos like this one, so you know if these games are ones that you want to get to your table.